All right, I got a juicy one for you guys today. So just kick it, relax, and I'm going to tell you about the absolute worst, most intense alcohol poisoning that I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes. Okay, so this took place back when I was between 15 and 16. I know that because when this happened, I was not able to smoke weed because I was getting drug tested for a rehab that I was in. So I would still hang out with all my friends and stuff that would smoke and do whatever, but it's like I pretty much mainly was like smoking cigarettes, and drinking's never been my thing, but I kind of got more into it when I couldn't smoke. And then of course like hallucinogens, like it's crazy when you take away like being young and in rehab and trying to take away, like it's just like being young, you're trying to find something else or whatever. So it's just like, okay, well now I have to do stuff that doesn't show up on a drug test. Like it's just, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just gonna not do anything, maybe later on. But when you're 15, it's so young. It's just like, I don't know. Anyways, so that was kind of like how I was living. Um, and trust me, I smoked when I first got to rehab until I couldn't anymore, where they tested me and they told me that my score was off the chart because I had smoked that day that I got tested. So I just figured like, hey, how are they gonna know when I'll just say it was in my system for a long time, but it didn't really work out like that. So my friend Andrew, he constantly, his dad would go to Burning Man, his dad would go like different places and stuff. So a lot of the times like he had his place to himself. So this was already after like a couple years of him going away to Burning Man. Like there have been some events. I could definitely have plenty of stories from those times, but just know that when this one took place, there had already been some shit that had gone down previously. Okay, and you'll understand why I'm saying that and why it makes sense. So this day, I can remember it was me, my friend Andrew, whose house it was, my homie Max, my homie Eric, my homie Robbie, my homie Shane, and my homie Alejandro. Okay, so we're just over there, and it wasn't anything crazy. I think his dad went like on like a fishing trip or something, and he was gonna be gone for like a day or two. So it wasn't like a week long or 2 weeks long Burning Man thing, but still, we're just trying to have some fun. So we go over to his house, and like people just bring their own stuff. Like his dad had stuff to like drink there, but like I can remember somebody brought beer, like cans of beer. Somebody brought wine. There was vodka. There's a bunch of different shit. And don't let me forget Jose Cuervo. And that was something that was already at the house on top of the refrigerator. Nobody brought that. That was already there. Okay. So lots of different kinds of alcohol. Not a good thing to be mixing all of that stuff. But, we're still pretty young at the time. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what's up with that and all that. So it doesn't really matter for my sake. But I was there for this whole thing. So, we're like, I can remember playing quarters. Me and my homie Robbie, we would always play quarters and stuff. Just like I don't know, just like beer fest, I guess. Just like putting a glass in a glass and just trying to do that. We actually got pretty good at it. So, we were doing that, and we had the hookah set up. We had a hookah set up in the room on this little like dinner tray type thing. This like hookah, and I'll probably tell a story about that one day. How I bought a hookah when I was in like 7th grade from this like Iranian market, but that's a different story for another time. So we always had the hookah. Always had the hookah, always had the tobacco, always had the coals, had everything. Just like someone had like a backpack or whatever. Like I had one, someone else, like multiple people in my friend group had one way before we turned 18. So that was just kind of a thing that was always there. You know, we'd do like smoke tricks, blow O's, and, you know, nothing super crazy, but that was just a constant, okay? And, you know, them, like, they're smoking and stuff, and probably, like, I can really only remember, like, drinking and smoking the hookah and stuff. Like, it wasn't a time of, like, drugs, you know? This was very, like, early on and somewhat innocent-ish, okay? Not really, but... So, the night goes on, whatever, we're hanging out, doing our own thing, time's going on, and all of a sudden, my homie Max, he starts playing this song, and it's by Andre Nicotina, and it's called like 5 a.m. Bay Bridge or something like that, and it has this like, it starts up with this like flute, like do 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 do, and every time he would play that little part of the song, my homie Andrew, he would grab the handle. It was a handle of Jose Cuervo, the gold one, and it was like a big ass bottle. And he would, when my homie would play that song, he would go doon 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 doon, and he would start like dancing around. We kept calling him like a leprechaun. He was like just kind of like dancing around, and he's just chugging this handle, like literally. Just every time we played the song, he would just do a little dance, and like while he was like, you know, he was doing it to be funny, but he was still drinking. Like, you know, he could have like pretended, I guess, or something. I don't know. He didn't have to pull so hard on it. So that starts happening, okay? And mind you, people have been drinking beer, like we're drinking beer, wine, and like I had watched like my friend Andrew, he was going the hardest out of anybody. And it was his house, but he was going the hardest out of anybody. Just beers, beers, beers. I watched him open the wine bottle, drink like half the wine, and he seriously drank half a handle of Jose Cuervo to himself. Like no one else touched that. I certainly didn't, but nobody else touched it. It started out as like a normal, almost full bottle. By the time he was done with it, it was less than half. Okay. And like, you know, he kept drinking and stuff, and like I was kind of surprised, honestly. I was like, you know, like he was very like aware and like talking and stuff and whatever, and like I was like, damn, all right. And that would not last very long. So he's like, I can remember this very specifically, and this will come into play a little later, but he goes and like he had already drank everything. Not everything, but drank a lot. And I watched him go underneath the sink, and he pulled out this bottle, and it was a big ass vodka bottle, and it was Belvedere, I want to say. I don't know companies that well. I'm pretty sure it was Belvedere. And it had like a tree on it. It had like this gnarly like tree with branches and shit. It was like a clear bottle. So he's trying to open it, and he's so drunk that he can't even open the bottle. Like I'm like watching him trying to open it, and I actually was able to tell. I was like, yo, like I was like, put that shit down, dude. Like you know, like I don't want to see somebody like, you know, die. So it was just kind of like he had kind of like overkilled it, and then that would have just been way overkill. So I actually like took the bottle away from him. I was like, yo, like chill out, man, like just chill. So he goes into another room. Like his house had a lot of different like rooms. It was almost like two houses kind of like put together. It was really weird. But he goes into like this other part of the house where like we're in his room. And I'll tell you, to throw it back, I was on MySpace at this time. Didn't even have Facebook yet. I was on fucking MySpace. So if you're curious as to like the timeline of this story, fix this. I had a MySpace, okay? And that will also come into play later. So we're in his room, and we're kind of curious, like, you know, like, where's he at? So finally we go, like, looking for him. And we're looking for him, and we find him in this like little side room that had a couch that his grandpa would usually be like spending time in. And he was on this couch and he was just passed out. And he was passed out, but he was passed out, but we were trying to like wake him up and stuff, you know. We're trying to keep him up and everything like that, but he would just kind of be like like he couldn't really like talk or anything, okay? So like first, like we I'm not gonna lie, you know, and we're probably not gonna sound great in this, come out great, but whatever. But we drew all like there. I don't think we left like an inch of skin. Like we drew dicks and swastikas and jizz into his, like just everything you can possibly think of, like everything, glasses, whatever. And you know, we're just doing that for fun. Okay, that was just for fun, just, you know, messing around. People have drawn on me. I've done it to other people, whatever, you know. It's not a huge deal. I'm pretty sure we used like a sharpie though, so that was kind of but anyways, like he's just like super, like, you know, it made sense to me then, before, when I was like, damn, he's really holding it down. And like definitely was not holding it down anymore. So, and I mean, I'm not surprised. And he's only like a year and a half older than me, so he's like 17 or like 16 and a half. So really, like, we're all very young still. So we're trying to, like, he's just like laying there on this couch, whatever. Okay, this is when shit changes. Okay, his house phone starts ringing. Okay, his house phone starts ringing, and I look, and I've been to his house enough times to know where everything is and stuff, you know. And I can see that it's his dad calling. And that's why I said this wasn't the first time that his dad had left, or, you know, how I said that there were some events that had taken place. So his dad was calling just to like see what was going on. He just wanted to talk to his son, and just, you know, I'm sure he just wanted to real quick be like, hey, just checking in, we're just over here, blah blah blah. I forget where they went, some fishing trip or camping trip that was only supposed to be like 2 days. So his dad keeps calling. He's calling his cell phone, and like we're trying to wake him up. Like we're trying to wake him up and be like, dude, like your dad's calling. Like your dad is calling. You need to pick up the phone. Like you need to pick up the phone. And he's just like barely conscious, dude. Just like, if we can get anything out of him, it's like like that. So we move him from that room into his bedroom. And while we're moving him, he like kind of like gets on his feet, but he can't walk because I'm sure he's like stumbling, like spinning and all that stuff. So he like stumbles from one room in towards the other room where like everything else was, his actual room. And the door was open, but the door was open like this was like the side of it, like that, you know, like it was halfway open, halfway closed. And he's going, and he takes these like 3 or 4 long steps, and he just boom hits his head just straight on the spine of the door, just like boom, like that. And once he does that, he falls forward and he knocks over the hookah, and all that shit is all. If you've never had a hookah at home, like, or whatever, like there's a lot. It's messy. It's really fucking messy. So he falls and he hits his head, and then he falls more, and he knocks over the little TV dinner tray thing that had the hookah, and it was already set up. It had water and just like all the tobacco. It wasn't. I don't think it was burning at the time. I don't think we had any coals on it, but still, like his house, I know, has burn marks on the floor from coals lighting on the ground. Like I had them in my house too, but anyways, so he knocks that over, and now that's a fucking mess, and that's just kind of like on the ground, laying there, whatever. And now he's laying on his bed. His bed is like right there, like kind of next to where everything fell and stuff. So we just kind of like, we laid him on his bed. The phone is ringing the whole time that this is going on. The phone is constantly ringing. Phone is constantly ringing. We're still trying to wake him up. And at this point, we didn't really know what else to do. So he was laying on his bed and we just started slapping him. And I'm not gonna lie, like, we slapped the dog shit out of this fool. Like, and that's my boy and everything, you know? But like, we were trying to wake him up. It wasn't like a hurtful thing, but we were just like, bah! Like, probably as hard as you could imagine slapping someone. But he didn't budge. He didn't move. It didn't change anything. That's how gone he was, okay? So after that, my, I'm not gonna name a name, but someone lights his leg hair on fire. Not me. Was not me. I don't remember who exactly it was, but that's why I'm not going to throw it out there. But I do remember that smell of burning hair. Like, I was like, oh, and like, still nothing. No, I think whoever did it was doing it just to see if it could get a reaction out of him. Stone cold Steve Austin. Just nothing. So we put, and I forgot too, between that time and after drawing on him, I think we put like peanut butter in his hair or something. It was messed up. We're not good people, okay? Try to be a better person now, but back then we weren't great. So big thanks from us for letting us come over, right? But really, like, at the end of the day, we were just trying to wake him up because I know his dad. I know, like, I just knew that something was going to happen, okay? I knew it. I'd been friends with this fool for a long time. I'd known his family and all that, and I just knew in the back of my mind something was going to happen. So, and I wasn't wrong. So we try to throw him in the shower next. That's our next, like, idea. We're, like, running out of ideas at this point. We're like, fuck. So we throw him in the shower. Like, he still had like his clothes on and stuff. Like, obviously we're not gonna do that. It's weird, but we turn on his shower, cold shower, and we try to like push him up against the wall, like, for the shower. And this fool, like, literally, like, we try to like set him up in there. And as soon as someone lets go of him, and like he was standing there for maybe like 0.5 seconds, and then all of a sudden he just hits his like neck, like his shoulder. Like, he hit something on the sink. You know how the sink is like right there. So he fell over and he like scraped himself on the sink, and he's still passed out. He's still like super passed out. So like we're like sitting there, and it's really like it's kind of like an awkward moment because like it's like me and like 4 or 5 friends, and he's just gone out of it, and we're just kind of like sitting there inside of his house, just like you know, it was weird. So, and I still this is a small detail, but one of my friends had a Roar steamroller. Okay, Roar was like a really like top of the line company back when like I started smoking. It's probably still up there now, but like, I just remember my friend had this steamroller. Steamroller is like toilet paper roll with an extra mini toilet paper roll coming out that connects it, that you put your hand over it and let go of it. You know, I haven't seen one in fucking forever, man. I get it too. It's pretty harsh, but that thing definitely did get you faded. So that was right on top of the computer. I was on the computer. So I'm there, I'm on the computer, I'm on MySpace once again. And like where my friend's room was, he had like a area, like a patio area on the side of his house that was covered, and it had like, there was like a TV and like a chair and another refrigerator. It was just like a outdoor patio spot. So that spot, like, if you came through the side of his house and you opened the doors, and like you could get through that and like walk on the side, and if someone walked on the side, they would come up to the back door, like the back side door, and then you'd be right there, you know. But if that's locked, you can't get in. So we're sitting there, and I'm on MySpace, and like we don't even know what to do, honestly. All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, oh, phone stopped ringing. Phone stopped ringing like 10, 15 minutes. So I'm on the computer, whatever, and out of the corner of my eye, I see something like movement from outside on the other side of the window. His window thing was like cracked. So I see like this like figure move, and I like turn my head, and I look, and I can see it was his dad's friend who had a son who would come over sometimes, who was younger than us, whatever, but like I knew who this person was, and it was just kind of like his dad's friend. Someone who, like, she had yelled at me before. I don't even know this lady, and she yelled at me like the first time I met her. So I see her coming, and I'm just like, oh shit. And we all just run. And we all run, like she comes in from the back, and we all ran out the front door, okay? And like I was one of the last people to get out of the house. So I can remember like running, and I heard her open the sliding glass door, and I heard her like come in. I heard her go, "Oh my God." And that was the last thing that I could remember, and we just took off. So we took off, and my friend Shane that was there, he actually lived like around the corner. Like we just ran straight to his house, which was like, it was like a 3-minute run. It was literally like so close. And I'll tell you how close it was in a second. So we run to his house, and we actually go up on his roof. So we're up on his roof because from his roof, like you could see just after like maybe like 2 rows of houses, you could see the street that my friend lived on, of the house we were just at. So we're there, we're up on the roof, and then all of a sudden we see flashing lights, and we see an ambulance and like a fire truck pull up, and we're like, oh shit, you know. I mean, it's like at least we made it out of there, but you know, it was just like, damn, like it just kind of made the situation a little more serious, of just like, fuck dude, like I hope he's all right, you know. So we end up staying over there, and we watch the paramedics come, and like we can almost hear them talking just because we're that close. And like I could only imagine for those like EMT people what they saw when they like got him, of just this little kid, and he's got glasses and dicks and swastikas and everything. He's missing an eyebrow. He's got peanut butter in his hair. He's got his leg hairs all gone. He's got scrapes and like all this stuff. Like, man, I don't know. Some of them were probably mortified. Some of them probably laughed, but most of them were probably mortified, and I really don't blame them. Like, I don't feel good telling those details of the story, but that's what happened. So that day, like, you know, it gets to be like a little bit later, and I get a call from his dad. And his dad's like, hey, so were you over here? Were you over here with Andrew? I'm like, nope. Deny. So I was like, no, what happened? And he's like, talking to me, like I can tell he didn't believe me. He's like, you really weren't here? And I'm like, no, I wasn't. I'm just over here at my friend's house. Like, why? What's going on? And he kind of like levels with me. Like I can feel it on the phone. And like what I guess in the moment I got caught up and didn't really think, but like this fool, his house had been like toilet papered and egged and stuff, like quite a bit, I guess, to the point where his dad had full-on security cameras that were always recording, that were like pointed at like different parts. Like his whole house was covered. Like the backyard and the front and the side and everything was covered. I swear, he had better and more cameras than the apartment complex that I stayed at. So that was something I forgot, because I know that before that, like, there were times where his dad caught people doing shit through the cameras, whatever. So I don't know. I guess I didn't think his dad could see that, or I didn't know that they recorded. I don't know. But his dad finally goes, "Look, I know you're over there. I saw you running away on the security footage. I know you were here." And then he names like 3 or 4 other people that he recognized. He's like, "I know that he was here. I know that he was here. I know that he was here." And he's like, honestly, he's like, "I'm not mad." He's like, "They just want to know at the hospital, like, what he's taken so that they know how to treat him." And at that point, I was just like, all right, fuck it. And I was like, yeah, I was there. And then I was like, honestly, I was like, he was really concerned about the hookah. He was like, "What is that stuff on the ground? Like, what is that nasty?" I don't know if he thought it was heroin or something, but I was like, "It's tobacco." I was like, "It's just hookah tobacco." And he was like, "Okay, what else?" And like, I just told him, like, it was just weed and alcohol. Like, that's all I know of. Just weed and alcohol. And weed, alcohol, tobacco, that's it. So I tell his dad that, and his dad's like, he like thanks me. He's like, "All right, thank you for being honest with me." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Like, it's not like he kind of called me out on it after not being honest, so whatever. But so I tell him about that, and I it was odd. Like, I left my MySpace page up, like logged in to my MySpace. And I also left like my jacket that I wore all the time. Like, it was just like, there was no way that I was going to be able to get out of saying I wasn't there, be it the camera footage or just me leaving such a like horrible footprint that I was obviously there. So like, there was really no point in lying about it. Everything happened so fast that I kind of like forgot how quick, like, we just got up and ran. I didn't have time to log out of my MySpace, whatever. I was jamming out to my profile song. You know what I'm saying? Some Into Club by 50 Cent. Disco Inferno. All right, so that happens. And like, since I had kind of came clean, I explained, like, I was like, "Do you think I could come by and get my jacket?" And like, he was like, "Yeah, sure." And I went and got my jacket and something else, and I got something else for someone else that was there that he didn't know about, that I said that it was mine. And I just go over there real quick. We don't really talk too much about it. He was in the hospital. So the next day, I finally get a call from him. And he calls me, and he's just like, he just sounds like he was just ran over by a million cement trucks. He's just like, "Hey." I'm like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" And he's like, "Dog." And like, he wasn't even tripping on like how he hit like, he never even said anything about like the drawing on his face or anything. The main thing that I remember him saying is he woke up in the hospital and he had a catheter in his dick, and he didn't know what was going on, and he pulled it out himself. And I've never had one of those before. I don't really understand like the science behind it or whatever, but I know that shit must have hurt. So that was the main thing that he explained to me. And he also mentioned to me that the doctor said if he had a drank like one more drink of vodka or like something like strong, that he would have ended up in like a coma, or like he would have been like had like brain damage or some shit. That's how much this fool drank. Like, and I remember that being like pretty serious. And then that made me think back to when I stopped him from drinking the Belvedere vodka. At the time I was just like, "Yo, like, like, you don't need more." But like, I'm really glad that I did that, because that might have saved this fool's life. So I can't act all holy, mighty, helpful, or whatever after all the shit I just named that we did. But at the end of the day, everything was all good. I feel bad that his dad's like vacation got disrupted or whatever, but at the big picture, I was just glad that my friend was okay and that he was gonna like, live to see another day. Not that we thought that that was really not gonna happen, but just hearing some of the stuff I heard over the phone was just like, it made me realize like how much more serious it was than I thought. Okay. And last thing I'm gonna say is the reason that I brought up the steamroller is his dad ended up stealing that steamroller. He tried to accuse us of having a crack pipe. He said, "This is what was that pipe? That crack pipe?" And he just like he would always say that about the crack pipe, the crack pipe. And this is a time when I'm at rehab. Okay, when I got out of rehab, my friend was going through his dad's shit, and he found his dad's medical card. Not only did he find his dad's medical marijuana card, but he also found like wax and like hash and like a half ounce of weed. And my homie took all of it, and he literally stole all of it. And it was my very first day out of rehab, and we smoked all of it. And like I can get into that day more later, but like I basically had multiple groups of people who were waiting for me to be done with rehab that were just like, yo, I'm gonna smoke you out when you get out. I'm gonna smoke you out. Like all the people I had been around when I couldn't smoke, that they were like, yo, when you can smoke, I got you, blah 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 blah. So like my very first day, I'll never forget. I woke up at like 8 in the morning and went over to my homie's house, started smoking, and just constantly was going from place to place to place to place. And I don't even remember how the night faded away, but I just remember going from place to place, different person to different person. Like my boy didn't come into the equation until way later on. Like that was random. Like there was other stuff that was planned, but right there where he was just like, yo, like had this big ass bag and he had this like blue lightning wax and all this stuff. I was like, yo, like, so I was just like, it made me think to myself, this fool, he goes a Burning Man. He's like the most like tripped out dad that I know like that. Like that fool knew that shit was for weed. Like I get it that it looks kind of weird and all, but like that fool, he probably smoked weed out of that shit. Like I can almost bet he did. So hey, if he did, then a steamroller isn't a bad trade-off for our freedom. And he could have been way more of a dick about it. So anyways, I'm gonna cut it out right here, but that's the story of the worst case of alcohol poisoning that I have ever seen.